Right, right, yeah, and trust is always it's always an issue with our people too.
Yeah,
There's some
and
trust issues.
it's the weirdest thing because like I had this conversation with another brother who um, I buy cows from, and he raises some premium product.
Hmm.
And I took one of his cows to the butcher as a favor to him and to see if we want to do business together. And I was over the moon with the product.
Right.
So I report back like, hey man, you need to check with you're selling it to one of these stores. I can't remember which store it was. And he's telling me what they're grading it. And I was like, so let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the product after it's been cut up? No. I said, so how do
Mm.
you know what they charge me? And then he wanted to charge me premium. And I was like, look, the white dude beating you over the head.
Right.
Don't think you're going to charge me premium. Get enough courage. This is my exact words. Get enough courage to stand up to him.
Hmm.
Don't try to bully me in a situation because you just believe that, the white guy's going to give you the best price and he's not. But then you're going to make up the difference on me. Nah, bro.
Right.
I'm going to pay you what's fair.
Hmm.
I'm not going to I'm not interested in, and this is the thing where people have to understand in business is margins, man.
That's right.
You can't make 100% on things where you don't know what you're doing and you need help. You got to pay them. And then it's margins. If you think that you're going to come to us, to black folks, and then charge 100%,
Right.
yeah, no, man, we're
Right.
not doing it. So we deal with that a lot. And it's changing. It's changing the younger group. But my parents' generation, the 70s, they either revolutionary or still, they ain't no in between with them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started. It's 9:59 by my watch here. So let me do
I'm
something
gonna,
I
I'm gonna,
always.
I'm gonna drop another article in the chat, one
Okay,
that just came out.
right, good enough. All right. Production. Here. Okay, good. And start. Turn it on. That's right. Something. Oh, we're about to go live, and we are live. Good, good, good. All right. Good morning, everyone. Today, our guest, a special guest that we've been telling you is coming today, Mr. Wayne Swanson. We want to introduce him. What I can, I know a little bit about him. I think you all do too. You probably saw the video of his um, where let me check the sound. Good. Saw the video of his where he had assisted 19 families in purchasing the 500 acres. I'm happy to get him on. You guys also have the notes and information from our first call, which was a brief call. It's about 14, 15 minutes long, but right now we have the man live here for us today, and I appreciate you coming, Mr. Swanson. Thank you very much for accepting the offer and offering such a reasonable way to get you on here. I
Yeah,
appreciate
good
that.
morning. Good morning. No problem. Anybody that's looking to do what you all are looking to do, if I can help, I would love to help. My business can help, and we can partner up in some kind of way. We are all for it. I'm excited that we are kind of rewilding ourselves. We're getting used to the soil again. I'm excited about
Right, right. Excellent. What I want to do, though, I'm going to probably try to start out with just a little bit in case some people have not seen it. There is a video of that it's a video out here where you, the news story, it made it on the news,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really where I found out about you,
Oh, okay.
and additionally to finding out about you that way, I shared it immediately with the group because we were all excited. I think everyone was excited as I am. So I'm
Well,
gonna,
if your video don't work, I can tell you about
yeah, go ahead and start, and then I'll that'll give me a
it.
chance. You see me bouncing
Yeah.
around. Go ahead.
Well, I can save you the hassle. So,
Okay.
19 families got together here in Atlanta, metropolitan Atlanta, and bought. I think their first venture was like 400 acres, and then they bought another 100 acres to get them over 500, with the goal of building a city. They bought cut timberland.
Okay.
There's a whole conversation on this. I'll make it brief as I can. When you buy cut timberland, you're not able to farm that immediately. The price is going to be great, but there's so many things that need to be repaired on cut timberland. It's going to be, you're going to have, the soil needs to be amended. You're not going to have any foliage, so you're going to lose your topsoil if it's been barren for a number of years. You're going to maybe even choke out your streams because the topsoil and the sediment is going to go into the streams. So there's a lot of repairs that needed to be done there. They reached out to me, actually a mutual friend, did a camp out on their land, and she called me and said, "Hey, I think these people, could use your help." And I watched their video on the news, and I told her, I said, "No, I don't think so, because I don't think we're speaking the same language yet."
Mm-hmm.
And this is us, right? We all in here, we family.
Right.
A lot of times for us, we've been trained that we need to be that one exceptional Negro.
It's true.
So if I don't know something and somebody points out, "Hey man, you may not be doing that correctly," we tend to get upset, feel like they're affronting us or trying to be disrespectful. And that wasn't the case. I saw something as I don't even like using the term, but as somebody who's made enough mistakes to be good at what I do now, I saw something.
Mm-hmm.
And I pointed that out, and the young lady flashed on me. And I was very calm, and I was like, "Sister," I said, "you're not mad at me." I said, "And you're not unintelligent. You may think that you're not smart in this space. That's not it at all. You're untrained. You have not been trained in agriculture. So don't beat yourself up because I know more of it and I lived it than you do.
Right.
That's all. You're smart. You put this deal together. That tells me you're intelligent. You got these people to come on board. That tells me you're intelligent. But now you're in a space where you needed a finance manager to get the financing. You didn't have a problem with that. You didn't get upset when he helped you out. When you needed a real estate agent, you didn't have a problem with them. Now you need agricultural help. You can't get mad at me if I'm the first Black person you're coming in contact in this venture, or if you think that you should know this, or that farmers shouldn't be smart. We're scientists. We have to be smart. We have to be studied. So with that being said, after we got through that, it became a great relationship, and I had been working with them. My job is to get them trained. My job in all these situations is to work myself out of a job. I am not supposed to be with you
Right.
for 5, 10, 15 years. I'm supposed to train you on your ecosystem, on what's going on with the NRCS and the programs, so that you can have these conversations years down the road. So that's what we're doing. And I wanted to give that version because the news story is what I call, it's a trophy ceremony.
Right.
It's not really dealing with
Okay.
the hard work, the things I just talked about.
Excellent.
That's going to make the relationship successful. So that's what we do. Swanson Family Farm started out as a 32-acre farm. I'd be remiss if I just told you I did quit my corporate job and start farming. However, if you're a believer and you believe that God gave people gifts and talents, I'm working within my gifts and talents. And it feels easy. There are letdowns, but I'm literally, some days, man, I think I really believe that land speaks to me.
Right. Right.
So it's not a hard thing. And as I'm patient, God bless me with a wonderful wife who sat with me while all the stories were going around. Like, if your man ain't making no money, leave. I wasn't making any money. So she's been here through while we're starting to make money, and we're starting to really see some headway, and opportunities are coming. So I wanted you all to hear that.
Right.
So as opposed to the trophy ceremony.
Yes.
We got some sprained ankles. We've been skinned up. We didn't had to run intervals. We've done all this stuff. And my job is to help you not hit all those rough patches.
And
You're gonna have some, because each piece of land has its own identity and own personality. But I can help you sprain an ankle versus rupture an Achilles, if that makes sense.
I got you. Excellent. There are going to be challenges, and it's what you're saying. And
yes,
don't
sir.
look for it to be an easy road there. But having people like yourself who are there to, like you said, instead of a ruptured Achilles, you get a sprained ankle. We can survive that and keep moving.
You can survive that.
Right. And so that's very important, and that's what we have to understand. And that's one of the reasons I really appreciated the information you gave me on that very short but informative call. And I'm going to tell you the truth. When you told me, you said, well, if we're going to go on, I'm a consultant, this, that, man, I felt I'd already got my money's worth, right? So I said, this is a very generous and like you said, patient. And I think you've been blessed with that generosity and patience, because a lot of people, as you were explaining the story, and how you look at things with the black farmer who was, you were getting cattle from, and how he had a kind of diversity in the way or difference in the way he dealt with his own people versus the other people. So I think we have to, that is a problem we have. And a lot of times people, they'll go in and sign papers and know almost nothing. But when it comes to dealing with us, they want to get all down in the nitty gritty and want to know everything and really they almost make it impossible to link up and do things. And that's what we're trying to, I think, overcome some of that, because it exists and there's no denying it.
Yes, sir.
So what I did, I know there were a number of things, questions. I said, look, everyone, get your questions ready. This
Please.
is the guy we really want to get this information from him, because he has it, and this is going to help us to move forward. But while we should all have our questions in order right now. But I really want to ask you: are there any other things that you could share with us that, in terms of what we're trying to do, things that we need to look out for, and looking for the land, and also the group dynamics? How do you get?
Yes.
That's very important. I understand that. That's very important.
So one of the first things that we have to come to grips with is that each of you is blessed with an individual skill and a talent that the others don't have. And there are going to be moments in this saga, on this journey, where a few of you are out front. If you can conquer that demon that's come up now where people have to be seen, if you can conquer that and deal with the reciprocity that needs to happen within the group, and know that maybe the person who is the farmer, so to speak, of the group, because farmers are hot right now, that doesn't mean that it's going to always, they're going to get some publicity on your journey.
Right.
But they're bringing that publicity and that eyeball to the operation. If we can be comfortable there, great. If we can identify who is good with spreadsheets, I think we talked about this on the phone. Right. The spreadsheets are so important. Sometimes we get into agricultural ventures and we forget all the other business that we've been in. It's a business. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to handle it like a business. You're going to have to set up your chores. You're going to have to set up your looks. Like, I got to do ivermectin on my dogs today. I do it the 5th of every month. And I'm going to do that and train some other people online when I do it. So we have to be aware of that. Find out who has the personality And it may not be the person who has the most knowledge. Like I have a buddy who has a personality of gold. He just people just never get mad at him. So when I'm going into tough situations where I know that if they say something wrong, Wayne's going to show up, I send him. Yeah, I pay him a little bit, but I send him to represent my interest. So find that person in your group and let that person be the first person. If you guys move into an area that is predominantly not us, and you have to go into that feed store for information, send that person.
Right.
Because sometimes we send that warrior energy in,
Right. Yeah.
and I know I got it. And they get immediately on edge, and they don't want to share information. So that's key. And then when you start talking about how you guys are going to work with the NRCS, I've got a list together, and I need to say this, and I want y'all to make sure you hear me on this clearly what I'm saying. The list that I'm going to send you is not to be shared. These grants, they're grants. They are competitive.
Okay.
So if you run out in the area, say you guys are going to be in, say, Central Virginia, and you share this list all over Central Virginia, and there's somebody that has a better conversation with the NRCS agent, they get that grant, you're not going to get it. So we have to, the money is there. We have to study the codes. We have to study the environment, because really when you're doing this, you're building an ecosystem from the ground up. A lot of people want to go straight to cattle or straight to farm and vegetable. No, build your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the document that I'm going to send you, if I can put it in the chat, I'll stick it in the chat.
Please do.
The document that I'm going to send you is something that needs to be studied so you can build your farm from the ground up. And there are funds available. They may be matching funds, but if you don't have to pay them, take full advantage of it. Now, with that being said, finish the task if you take these funds to do the job, because they will come foreclosing your property. It's a grant, but it's a forgivable grant. So those are the things. Find out who's good at spreadsheets. Be comfortable with your co-owner being in the limelight for whatever period of time. Your time is coming. Always tell people, man, you didn't fix his plate, you can't eat off of it. Be comfortable with your friend be doing well. And then when you realize that people aren't comfortable, maybe buy them out or something, just being honest. And then the spreadsheets, you're going to hear me say spreadsheets. My wife says it. She sits back and listens to these. She says she counts these. She only says spreadsheet 5 times on that call. Because the reason that you need the spreadsheets is because it's like the old almanac, right? You need to go back and look. Okay, well, 2 years ago, we got this many bushels, but this year we only got, what was going on? Let's look at the weather patterns. Let's look. Okay, well, look, this is the week that our sheep got out, and they ate the tops off of our okra, so it stunted the growth in this year. So, okay, now we understand. Now we know to move the sheep farther away because they want that. That's what the spreadsheets and keeping the documentation does for you. What else you got? What other question? Hope I answered that.
So now the just to give you a little overview of what we're trying to do. We're trying to, as we were discussing, to create a community environment, a homesteading group. So we're all 25 families. We let's just say, give you an example, that we want to acquire between 60 and 100 acres. Let's just say we get 80 acres, right?
Okay.
We want a situation which will allow us to, let's say, take the first third, or potentially say 30, 35 acres of that and use it for home sites, right?
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
Then we want to have our recreation area for the families in the masjid, the mosque for the praying and what have you, all of that in one area. And then on the far end of the property, we want to do the livestock, some sheep and goats. Now, our purpose is, initially at least, we want to be able to sustain ourselves, to feed ourselves. So we want to have livestock, chicken and hens and all kinds of stuff going on down there. We also want to have some traditional agriculture going on. At some point, We want to go into vertical farming, but initially we're going to have to crawl before we can walk, right?
Right.
So we want to really, we have some people with skills in this project that are farmers. We have at least two, maybe three, who
Good.
have education, farming education, a degree
Good.
in agriculture, as well as they run a farm. They have a farming operation going on.
Good.
And so, so we're also trying to attract people with, as you were saying earlier, who have certain skill sets, and then we want to be able to employ those skill sets to keep the money inside of the effort rather than
Right.
take it outside, right? We have framing carpenters. We're approaching plumbers, and I myself have 25 years in construction and construction project management and so forth. So we're trying to bring a number of necessary components to move
Nice.
forward within the group. So that's kind of an overview of what we want to do. Homesteads, we have a guy that we're working with. He's out of New Mexico. Guy named Sharif. He runs. They have about a 6-year project down there called El Andalus. They have about 50 families, I understand, involved with that. And he's certified in permaculture and cob building. So we want to actually also be in an area that allows us to build different types. So if we want to do a cob building, if we want to do a pole barn house, if we want to do traditional stick frame home or what have you, that we can do that.
So what jumps out to me, and I think we mentioned this before, one, you absolutely have to have a property that has more than one way of egress.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We got to be tops. Then I'd start looking at and talking to these different municipalities. You don't have to tell them what you're going to do,
Right.
but you need to have an understanding. And then I just found out that there are some counties in the South that don't have zoning, zero zoning, zero. So one of the counties I'm working in Georgia doesn't have any zoning requirements. It just has setback requirements. Like if you're
Right.
doing this, you have to set it back so far and put a buffer up so you can't see it.
Right.
So look at the zoning requirements, and then you all want to look at if they call it different things in different places, the future land use
Right.
or the 20-year overlay. So you want to know what they expect that place to be in 20 or 30 years, both from an investment standpoint and to eliminate the need for you guys putting in a bunch of infrastructure. And 20 years down the road, they want to rezone it because they want to make it a dry dock for trucks in 20 years, which happens. Right. They see the business coming and they're like, all right, we're going to make this a warehouse district in 20 years. So know that going in. A lot of times we don't play the politics game. And there's an old saying, if you do politics, or politics will do you. So if you're going to invest in land and you're going to build something, you're going to be paying impact fees. You're going to be paying property taxes on individual things. So you need to get to know the commissioner for the area that you want to be in, or the city council person for the area that you want to be in. And then once you have that information, that will determine what you can build. So if you can find a place that doesn't have zoning, and they don't have, like everybody's putting up moratoriums right now on tiny houses, and because of the septic issues that they're having. Okay. And because people just don't want to build stuff right. They're cutting corners. People are freezing, and then they're having to deal with the cities having to come in and rescue folks. And if you can show, and I've explained this to another client, I said, man, if you can show that you had a engineer with a PE stamp them plans, they're going to ride with you. But if you snatch something off Google and go in there talking about this is what we're going to do, right, they're going to tell you no, and now they know you're there.
Right.
So now they're hell-bent on making sure they stop you. So those are the things I saw. The 2 lanes of egress, because even if you guys decide like I did that this is an investment opportunity, and most people are like, don't sell land, I think that's ridiculous. I said, if somebody's willing to pay you 5 and 6 times what you invested into that property, you can buy another piece of property free and clear and still have the money to do the infrastructure, then do it. It's about economic freedom.
Right.
And sometimes you have to make those moves. So those are the big things that I see. Those are the things that I would highly encourage everybody to do. As soon as you buy your property, get a farm number,
Okay.
meet with FSA, or meet with you're a project manager, so you can just touch base. You don't need to hire me for that stage of it. You can just touch base and we can say, hey, ask this question, ask that question. And a lot of times the FSA people don't know the programs. Like all the stuff that I'm sending you guys, every one of them's in their program. Most of them don't know it. So they're going to tell you no.
Right. Right.
And you've got to press and be like, nope, here's the code, look it up, and make them look it up on their phone while you're standing there. If they get away from you, all of a sudden that voicemail is going to start hitting.
Now, the one other thing I have, and that is, by the way, anyone can chime in if you have questions, anything
Yeah,
that
please do.
triggers a concern or anything. Just chime in. Don't let Wayne and I do all of the talking here. I want you guys
Yeah,
engaged.
please do.
Yeah. Because I can't think of all the questions. I'm going to be thinking
Right.
after he's gone.
Team effort.
Yeah, it's a team effort here. So please, step up. Um, so there was a question I had, and I think it's very important, and that is that question in terms of your experience and what you've seen. Uh, Other groups, other assemblies of individuals out there who are attempting what we're doing. How popular or prevalent is this sort of project?
They're very popular on the front end because it's sexy. What happens on the back end is they hadn't thought out the financing.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't dealt with the municipality, the county, the city, or the state. And then they realized that it's going to cost $5 million to put a road in
Mm-hmm.
and utilities. Well, I was like, man, look, it's a million pieces of property out here. Buy one with a telephone pole out front of it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Buy one with 2 ways in.
That's right.
So that there's already a road there that maybe look for the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
If the school bus comes down that bad boy, you good. You can just say, hey, look, for the safety of these children, we need this road improved. Allow the system to work for you. Too many times, like I said, either you do politics or politics will do you.
Right, right. Yes. I
So-
think that's excellent, because one of the things we have is one of our boxes to check is to make sure that there's a state road there and you got poles running down that road bringing power in, so that you don't have to come so far. It's not going to cost you $50,000 just to get power onto your land, but you can,
Right.
and I've done that as well. We have some expertise with that in terms of just bringing it on 100 feet, 200 feet, wherever we need it. Because I think I looked it up, they charge between $25 and $50 a foot.
Yeah.
And expect to spend $5,000 or so to get that, or maybe 10, but you get it in, and now you got power, and now you have the ability to distribute that within your property there. How you
Correct.
see it.
And what that then allows you to do is to set the different entities up for those power masts. So the farm entity can be its own thing.
Right.
And the address can be its own thing. It can be 123 Main Street A, 123 Main Street B, and each family can then maintain their own, and we can start building that farm history and that farm credit. And that's something we need to talk about as well.
Right.
How do we start building? Because Ag South is throwing money at Black folks. Throwing it at us at like 2%.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be a farmer.
Right. Right.
So back to the spreadsheets. If you're keeping records, I don't care if you're growing tomatoes on your terrace in the middle of Chicago, keep records of what you're growing. And if you can grow enough product that you can sell $1,000 a year, you're already farming. That's what the government says as a farmer. Somebody that makes $1,000 a year. So if you keep those records, when you go in to Ag South or to these financing, they're like, hey, well, you seem to be a new farmer. Technically, I'm not. I've been farming for 3 years. Here's the record I've had of the yields. Here's the receipts. Here's everything I have. so that you can get access to the capital. And then with that, relationships. The people at Ag South, their kids really don't want to farm no more, but they love farming.
Right.
So they're looking to help people out.
Right.
And you need their Rolodex.
Right.
And I don't care, outside of having Confederate flags and Trump flags, I'm going to talk to every white person on the block.
That's right. That's right.
Now, the people that I clearly see, there's no sense in me talking to you. And I've told somebody, hey, man, I seen your flag. Ain't no sense in us talking.
Right.
You believe what you want to believe. I ain't trying to change your mind, but let's just avoid a problem.
And I want to congratulate you. I saw that your son, Wayne Jr., he's
Jakai Amir.
Yeah, he's in this with you, right?
He's in it. He got cool on me.
Right.
You know, you go through those you go through those stages. So right now, but I mean, he grew up in it. So even though he wanted to get his own job and do his own thing, he's still a part, and he still knows. Just an example, we had a partner, he's an older white guy we raised cows together, and I was fussing about him bringing in the wrong bulls. Right. So me and Jakai go down there, and he was like, "Man, we can't get them out the field. They're wild." I look at my son. I was like, "Man, go get them cows." And he was 16 or 17 at the time. Right. And the man was like, "He can't get them cows. Them cows don't know him." I was like, "Man, if you listen to the animals and you believe in what you're doing," and then like 20 minutes later, here he come with the main cow out front.
Everybody else following.
And he was like, "How do you do that?" I was like, "Man, because we pay attention." So pay attention.
That's right. So he knew which cow. Okay, if I get that one there, everybody else will come.
Everybody else is coming.
Right.
That's it.
That's
survive the initial encounter and you good.
That's very good. And then one of the things that, and just a lot of us who are involved with this, I think pretty much all of us, are thinking legacy. We're thinking about the next generations, and like you said, not always can. They're gonna want to go out and see what's out in the world.
Absolutely.
But you give them that foundation. We want to show them, and we want to give a good example, not just for our people, but for everyone who's thinking that they can see, here's a successful project. Yes, as you said, there's going to always be challenges, and you have to be ready to step up to that. You have to identify where your resources are. Like you said, if there's someone who's good at spreadsheets, why am I fooling around trying to figure out how to go put formulas in there, right?
Right. And if there's somebody who can spin a message, I realized, and my parents realized, that I'm good at messaging when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Right. Okay.
And they started putting me in little oratory things and had me going up to the local news station. So I'm aware of that, and I'm blessed that my parents did that. But find that person, let that person message for you.
Right.
So if that's not you, I'm not saying that it's not. Right. But find that person, because the more messaging they do, the better they're going to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. And identifying that person, as you said earlier too, we have to really start giving each other our props. We have people who have mad skills in something. We have to encourage them. We have to really put the trust in it, and believe me, like you said, they'll blossom. They'll get better at it. If they're good at it, they'll become better. And then
when you're working in your gifts and your talents, it's not as stressful, because you're in your natural element. And my wife is that spreadsheet person. My wife is usually like, I think the first time we talked, she was in the car with me, and she was like, "Is that a paid?" As soon as we hang on the phone, "Is that a paid gig? Because you gave out a lot of information."
Right.
I was like, "Yeah." And my brother said, "I'll send him the invoice." But she don't want to talk to you. But she gonna check them invoices though. Right. She gonna make sure that all that stuff lines up. And that is the beauty of finding those partnerships.
That's true.
And you have it in there.
That's right.
Everybody just has to find their space.
Exactly. Everyone has to find their space. As I always said, look, I'm willing to step back if someone else is better at this. I prefer to step back. I don't want to. I'm good at what I'm good at. Let me do that, right?
Yes, sir.
And and we need to identify what others are good at. The other thing you talked about, and I appreciate, the way you did. I shared that with the group. It's the part when we were talking about as we move forward, because now, again, we have the idea is we're trying to get 25 families that say, I have $10,000 that I'm in this, I'm in it. So that 25 families, so you're talking about $250,000, and a lot of the land we're looking at is either slightly less than that or a little more than that. 160, 70, 80,000 to 280, 300,000. So we're in the ballpark. We're in an area where we can literally, I want us to be able to look at the land and do as you were saying, go down, set it up. The real estate guy finds it for us, and correct me if I'm wrong, as you did before, because I was wrong. Find the guy really. He says, "Look, I got a good piece of property for you. Here it is." Say, "Okay, we're gonna look at it for now. We're gonna take a look at it." But when we go down to look at that property, as my son and I, we've done numerous times. When we go down, we have that checklist of things, like you were saying. Hey, we want that state road with the poles running down it. We want a secondary egress, and we also meet with the local. Now, how do we find? He's not the surveyor. We're not going to do a survey now, but we do want to find someone who is local, familiar with the area. In other words, has done, knows, okay, here's your neighbor down here. They had to go 200 feet to hit water. The water table is here. The soil, this is the quality. Let me, do necessary soil.
That person is the extension agent in that area. The extension agent through the university system of that state.
Okay.
You call them, you tell them what you want to do, and they'll come out there. And what we talked about was that we're not playing the game correctly, is that we're waiting to do all this due diligence after you put your earnest money up.
Yes.
I'm telling you, do all this before you put your earnest money up, because if the soil is ruined or you got a better situation, or you find out, hey man, there's so much rock here, you're not going to be able to build.
Right.
Or it's going to cost you a significant amount of money with equipment, back out. A lot of times, like I got 2 clients now, they didn't do any due diligence until they put their $25,000 down. And I was like, well, you can't, you only got 3 weeks.
Right.
I was like, you're going to lose that money, or you better buy the place or get out of that contract as soon as you can. So you want to be the extension agent. The extension agent will come with bags to get the soil samples.
Okay.
And the reason that you don't want to put your contract on it yet, it might take a month and a half to get the soil samples back. So while you're talking and waiting, there's a possibility that somebody else might buy it. You know how you know somebody's not going to buy it? When a guy keeps calling you saying, I got somebody else interested, that means nobody's interested.
Right. Okay.
So you're like, yeah, man, we coming. We just trying to get all our things together. We want to do it. And the other thing I tell people is, if your group is mobile and you're not, set on a spot, man, if you can get down to South Mississippi or South Arkansas, the land is so cheap and the dirt looks like coffee ground.
Wow.
I drove through there a couple of months ago now, and I was like, what the hell? How did I not know about Arkansas?
Right.
And I was drove from Atlanta to Missouri. And I might have been, half of the trip was just no human beings, just land in between these cities, and for sale signs everywhere. Right on a major highway. So I told my wife, I said, we might need to just buy some property in Arkansas and just hold it.
Just sit on it.
Or Mississippi. Because when you look at what they have, on either side of the Mississippi River, they have major deep water ports. They've got major interstates that go from California to Atlanta or to Savannah. They've got no major Fortune 100 companies, no major sports franchise, and not a single solitary business has its headquarters in either one of those states. And it's because of all the Confederate stuff. And as we clear out all that Confederate stuff, the climate there is Florida. I mean, it's Florida. It's not even, it's Pensacola.
Right.
Where you at? You damn near in Mexico, South Texas. That's where you at.
Right.
So when I got a chance to put feet there, and I pulled over a couple of times, and I keep a little spade in the back of the truck, and I would just get out and dig in the dirt and flip it and be like, geez, get back in the car, drive 3 more hours, let the dog out to pee, take the shovel in the dirt, flip it, and just like, well, I see why they brought us here to work this land. Anything you plant here is just going to just blow. So, you know, I know we're in love with Atlanta. We're in love with Richmond. We're in love with Charlotte.
Right.
So in Birmingham, we just got to go back to where, you know, they bought us from. And that really is land that used to be contiguous with Africa.
Right.
So during Pangea. So that's just, you know, what it is. I want to talk to you guys about animals as well. Once you get into animals, I heard, did I hear correctly when you said that the name of the other town was based on Andalusia?
Yes, that's right. Andalusia,
okay.
Right.
So a lot of the animals that I use are Andalusian. They were bought here, and I can get into this history lesson, but we all know Columbus and them, and Portugal and Spain used to be Andalusia.
Right.
It used to be part of Africa before the 700s.
Right.
So all those animals were brought to the Canary Islands, and then from the Canary Islands, they were brought to the South, to Mexico and to South America. And after all the native populations died off, and before the Europeans could really get a good foothold, it's about 400 years. Those animals, nature selected them to thrive in the Southeast. So the cows became what we called, east of the Mississippi, they're the piney woods cow. They're the version of the Texas Longhorn, but without the long horns because they were in the woods. The sheep became hair sheep. There are several strands of them. In the Caribbean, they became the Barbados black belly, St. Croix, the St. Croix white sheep, and the Katahdin. And also in the South of America, the Gulf Coast sheep. These sheep are tough as nails. These cows are tough as nails. They'll allow you to make mistakes because nature has selected them to be what they are. And they want to eat grass and forage. They don't want to eat feed. They will be smaller. They will be a little slower growing, but from a profit standpoint and from the ability to be able to make mistakes, accept no substitute. These are what we call heritage breed animals. So you can go off and try to get you some improved animals if you like. And Farmer Wayne is telling you, if you like, I can tell you, if you're new to this, or if you're a person who does a lot of feeding and shots, it ain't going to work for you. Because once your pocketbook is dependent on these animals thriving, it's going to be hard to maintain. And that's what the niche that I created for myself was finding these animals who wanted to thrive on what was available, and then being comfortable listening to the land. A lot of times we tell people, oh yeah, I got 20 acres. Okay, I'm gonna get 40 sheep. The land didn't tell you to get 40 sheep.
Right.
You get the sheep based on what you can feed off the land. And then once you get good at that, then you realize you can make some pivots and changes and add something. But less is always more when it comes to livestock to be raised cleanly. Now, if you want to feed everything and shoot them all up, get as many as you can pile in there. They're living in their own crap. They're gonna be sick.
Right.
But if not, I highly suggest less is more. Breed the animals that you want, and it doesn't take that long.
That's right. Yeah. Excellent. Definitely. All right, everyone. Come on. Going to ask you guys who've been here for, actually, it's only been 40 minutes. And it seems like it's been a lot longer with the information each. I thought we had been here an hour or more. But Noah, I did a poll in the group. I did a poll, and so I'm going to scroll to it here. I think this is it. Okay, so I asked. Let me see here. So I asked 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, right? I said, okay. Well, I gave 4, and they could choose up 4. I said, what best expresses your thoughts on this project? The first one was, it says, it's a great idea. I support the effort. Secondly, I'm interested in joining this project as a citizen, meaning they got the 10 grand, I'm ready to go, right? I don't think we're ready for this type of project. Third choice. Fourth choice, I need more information before I decide if I'm in or out. Understand it. Now, 50%
All great
chose,
answers.
right. 50% chose the first one, which is it's a great idea. I support the effort. 42% chose the fourth choice was uh, I need more information before I decide if I'm in or out. That's where you came in. I said, yeah, okay, more information is coming. We're going to try to provide greater information. 8% said, I'm interested in joining this project as a citizen. And we had zero choices on, I don't think we're ready for this type of project. Right? So the 42%, I said, well, that's a good thing. When people say, I need more information, that means that they are listening, that they are at least interested enough to listen for more information. And
Yes.
so here we are. And so I'm saying, Noor, all of you guys, Stephen, Yahya, come with the questions. You guys who are out there watching us on the stream, take that link, hop in. Let me see.
Let me throw something out there that might generate some buzz.
Go right ahead.
I think that you guys, in going at this capital, there's different ways to raise this money. You don't have to use your own money. It's something that needs. There are people who will want to invest in the operation, but don't want nothing to do with a farm. They just want to have access to like-minded people and products that come from that entity. And I highly recommend that as a part of this venture, you guys build a house that nobody lives at that you can rent out as Airbnb for other believers.
Yes, that's right.
And people of the mindset, so they don't have to live on the farm.
And that's exactly
put that into your model. And I would even say, I'd start with an RV. And I'd add, so what I help my clients do are find at least 3 streams of income. Right, 3. So I'm gonna just tell you what I did yesterday. I had a brother from the Nation of Islam. He's got 15 acres and he wants to get some streams of income. As soon as I get there, I'm looking at the overall scope of the project. And I said, well, look, man, we could do sheep. I said, you can't do a bunch of sheep. You can do enough sheep and then section off this section of your property. It was maybe 3 acres to hold events. Next to it, we're going to put in a gravel lot. We're going to run power and we're going to run water here. And then as people are going up and down I-75, because he was on I-75 near Atlanta, I said, we're going to rent to the people who have RVs. That's $80 to $100 a pop. So really, I want y'all to pick a bill. This is what I told him. Pick a bill. Do you want your taxes paid? Do you want the power paid? Do you need to put in something? Pick a bill. We're going to build that one stream or those 2 streams to pay that bill so that your money and the money that you're collecting can go to the right purposes. But then there's the infrastructure piece of it. Are you guys set up to take on investors? A lot of people don't do this part. They think, I be honest with you, I can't stand GoFundMe's. At all. Can't stand them. Because there's systems in place that will allow you to collect that money as an investment. And in one situation, we're going to collect up to $125,000 with a 3-year maturation. Set up to so we got people buying cows for $3,000 a pop. If they're buying them now in 2022, the investment won't mature until 2025. We're going to buy the best mama cows that money can buy. Pregnant. So we get them on site this year. They drop a baby this year. We get them pregnant again next year, and then pregnant again the following year. Then that first calf in 2023, if we don't select differently, is ready to be butchered as a return on that investment. There are people who are motivated just to be involved in the process. They're not looking for immediate gratification. They want to say they are a part of something. You just have to be the something and mean it, and not just be thinking about, oh, we got $1 million here. No, give folks allow folks to live vicariously through you. That's what they want to do.
Right.
That's what it is any other time with these sports teams and all this other stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. And that fits right in. We had our brother Sharif mention similar to this. He said, not everyone is going to be, yeah, I want to be a citizen. Create other opportunities for people to, because there are people who are going to want to support the project and take advantage of opportunities as they come, but are not equipped to do what, to be a citizen, to be on the land. So, like what you just said, that fits right into that model in terms of creating opportunities for others to take advantage of that'll support the community and will give some value back to them.
Get the paperwork right, because if you guys run a mosque or masjid, you understand that if you go to the bank, right? If you go for a loan, what they're going to want to know is what is your power to pay this back, and based on the numbers of the people that attend and what they're willing to pledge, that's how much money you get. So once you start this process and you have a list of everyone who is willing to contribute or who has contributed, but you've taken care of the paperwork correctly. This is the part we mess up. We don't take care of the paperwork correctly. So people don't get the documents that say that they're an investor. Like my wife and I don't know if you guys have seen this grocery store. It's the first Black-owned autonomous grocery store in the country. It's called Nourish and Bloom. And my wife and I invested in it on the ground floor. It's here in South Atlanta, Fayetteville. All the paperwork was done right. It was easy. When you do that, they want to find out. They want to make sure that that I'm not a drug dealer. So they're going to have you send in your records, and that makes everybody more comfortable. Particularly as I'm heading into that. I'm not really. I always make this joke like scared money don't make money. Right. My money ain't scared. It's just timid now. It's just like, I don't know. Let me look at it. So when the paperwork is right, I get to make the decision to say, hey, if I take a loss here, I can claim that loss because I'm investing from my LLC. Right. So again, politics. You do politics, and as much as I think Trump was a buffoon, the stuff he set up for you to do things with your LLC were amazing.
I was talking about that yesterday. Amazing. Now, you just triggered the question that I really wanted to ask you. I mean, the most important thing that I could think of that you can answer for us. The question comes up, so how do we come together and to do this as an LLC, or S Corp, or a trust, or whatever? So I said, that's the question we need to ask Wayne. How did these 19 families who invested in a 500-acre plus operation, under what type of entity did they establish that, and what were some of the key ingredients in terms of how do you structure that in a way? Go ahead. You understand.
If I'm not, I probably can get them on the phone to have you. I don't get into their internal business. Okay. But just my experience tells me that it didn't go exactly off as planned in the beginning because they had to learn some of these same lessons. And then they did a turnaround and got everything incorporated. And because I don't think they could take investors at first. Because the first thing I did, I liked the project and I was willing to invest $10,000 in it. But they couldn't, because I kept asking them, I said, why do y'all keep doing these GoFundMes? Right. It's, we literally, this how powerful this is in this time and space. We put a Facebook post up about a class we were having there. People were driving to Florida from all over the country and were finding us because they saw it on Facebook and pulling in. And a man pulled in and was like, I want to buy a cow right now. So from concept to putting it out there in less than 45 minutes, we had a $3,000 sale, an investment. We only wanted, I think, 25 investors. I was going to invest in one. So now we only need 23. And we hadn't even started because people want to invest in us. but you got to have your paperwork together. We're not looking for people looking to wash money. No, I don't have time for it.
Right.
There was a time many years ago I may have been like, yeah, it's come up. Let me make it work.
Right.
I ain't them days. I don't have the lungs I used to have, so I can't be in there fighting people in jail.
Right.
I have officially attained UNC status, and I'm happy. I'm happy in it.
Right.
So it's there. If your paperwork is right, people will invest. People will invest. Somebody asked a question, how important is it to buy land that has some water basic tap information? Awesome question. So here's my answer. Yes, that's important. But in the document that I'm sending you guys, the NRCS wants you to put a lake on your property. They want you to irrigate from the water that you can create on your property, so that we're not putting such a stressor on the water table. And if you're buying anywhere on the East Coast, generally it's going to be hilly anyway. So there's going to be what we call riparian systems, rivers, marshes. We're either going to fix those systems because we've dug them out or filled them in, or we're going to make a pond based on the bottom of a hill somewhere so that you can use that water and pump it to your orchards, pump it to your pastures for water and all that stuff. So very important. But if you're in it for, like, say, you don't think you're going to build something for 10 years, then I definitely would think about buying land that may not have water on it. But always, the more infrastructure you can buy on the front end, the more money it's going to save you in the long run. But water is key. And the further west you go, which I just learned this, I had always heard about mineral rights and water rights. That's a West Coast thing. That's a Western. We don't do that on the East Coast so much because when you buy the land, you own everything on it. Right. But the further west you go, that becomes an issue.
Now, one of the things I've been looking at properties, in fact, I found one just southwest of Richmond, was hilly, as you said. I mean, there's some land over there, and this property, I wasn't sure, didn't get to walk the property, but I was just looking. I saved it on Land Watch, I think Land and Farm. I forget which site I was on.
Yeah, I love that site.
And it had no zoning, and basically it was no restrictions, right? And I think it was about 90 acres, and it was a really good price because it was under 200,000. I think it was like 180 something it was under 200,000.
It's cheap for a reason. What are those reasons?
Exactly, and that's what you try to find out. Exactly, it's cheap for a reason, and we had that. We brought that up.
Yeah, we talked about that
conversation, right? And so those are the things. That's kind of, it gives you okay. Well, why is this? What's going on here? And so you have to do a little. So what are you doing?
That doesn't mean we don't want it,
right?
But we need to know what are we going to have to attack.
Right.
And that's why, and I'll email it to you because I can't get this thing to pull up in the chat. That's why that list I'm sending you is so very important. But how we approach that list is so very important. And just keep in mind, I no longer am angry that America is who America is. She just is what she is. It's not my place to change her. I'm going to live my life. And if my life doesn't change you, then I have nothing I can do for you. So I say that because when you go to, maybe in Virginia, maybe in Georgia, it might be a little different. But when you go to meet with these people from the NRCS and you've accumulated this land, you're probably talking to somebody who doesn't have land, but they're working in a space where everybody says they should have land.
Right.
So they're going to ask you, well, how'd you get that land? Well, why do you need a lake? Well, because they're saying, I don't have a lake. Why do you need a lake? Or I don't have sheep this plentiful. Why do you need? So we have to navigate that in this space. So keep that in mind when you start asking those questions. Hey man, who's your NRCS agent around here? You talk to the neighbors. Have you guys gotten any practices that they're called soil conservation practices? Millions of dollars out here for it. Millions. I got a call yesterday from the Georgia Department of Agriculture. They want to buy beef from black producers
and other things. They got $12 million set aside. They just, this is where they think they help us by buying stuff. I said, no, we don't need you. What they had the right idea in the 1890s by building those land grant universities. I don't need you just to throw money at me to buy something.
Right.
I need something I can build and teach people. But keep in mind, your NRCS agent is key. So I direct people to areas where the NRCS agent works. Now they'll change, but they may not change for 5 or 10 years, and they could be blocking you for 5 or 10 years, or they could be working with you for 5 or 10 years. And there's millions of dollars at stake, millions of dollars that you don't have to spend. It may be a 90% cost share where you're only putting up 10% of the whole project. And then they're paying you for everything. So be mindful of those.
Now, you mentioned NRCS agent. What is that? First of all, the acronym, and then
Yes.
what's
So the Natural Resources Conservation Agency, they are tasked with making sure America doesn't have another Dust Bowl, making sure that we, at the cut timberland, like they're going to, part of that 500 acres, they're going to reforest it for us. We're going to put an orchard in. They're going to put cover crops in. We went and identified all the wetlands on it the other day. We walked it, everybody got all cut and scraped up. But we found all the wetlands. They have biologists that'll help you with the wild pigs or help you with the deer population. All the stuff that we don't know because they tend to gear us towards a greenhouse, a well, and fencing. And what I'm doing is I'm building complete habitats. So I'm saying, all right, look, you bought this cut timberland. We got to start the way God would have started. You got to get the water first. Once we get the water first, now let's get the shrubberies and part of that riparian system with this riparian brush. Let's get that done. Then let's get the forestry. Let's get a road cut in. They pay for the road to get cut in so it doesn't erode everything else. So though the Natural Resources Conservation Agency is your friend. Again, my saying about politics, either you do politics or politics will do you. So get to know these people. Make sure that they know you, because if it works for you right now, they want to do anything they can to be able to say, hey, we did this for Black folks and it worked.
right?
So be the light. Take full advantage of the opportunity to be, hey, we the Black people, it's going to work. We're going to make it work. We got a team of experts and this is what we're going to do. And the more it works, the more opportunities and money they're going to throw at you. And I watch you, just an example. You ever drive around and see where there's a forest 1 minute, the next minute it's cut trees, they done pile the trees up, they burn the trees. Yeah, most people don't spend money for that. The NRCS came in, somebody bought the land and said, I want to farm it. Can you help me? And they give them all these options and they do it. They'll put their 10% up, but they do everything. But that would have taken us 15 years to get done, 10 years to get done.
Right.
They do it in 90 days, 120 days.
Right.
And then another agency is the FSA, Farm Services Agency. You guys, as soon as you buy your property, run to the FSA and get your farm number.
Okay, right. Okay, now, trying to find a balance, because one of the things I'm looking, at least my idea is that we want a certain amount of timber on the land because we want to actually
Absolutely.
convert that timber into usable lumber products.
Absolutely.
As we build out whatever we're doing, even if we're building fencing or even if we're building homes or barns or whatever the case may be, that if we have timber, we have the ability to convert some of that timber into money by it keeping money in our pocket. We're actually extracting that from the land, right? So what is the importance? Because I'm looking, I'm like, I want it. Only thing I want that's not timber on it is the road that leads through it. I want to look left and right, forward and rear, and see nice trees that I can do something with, right?
You're going to pay a premium for that.
Yeah, understood.
But also, back to the NRCS, they're going to assign you a forester. And that forester will come out and tell you about the health of your forest, how to maintain it, which trees can be harvested,
Right.
how to harvest it, and then they're going to replant those trees. If it is a situation where you buy cut timber, you're planting those trees for your grandchildren.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Fantastic. Man, I was
25
hoping.
years.
Yeah, I'm really looking for questions other than one. We did get that one question, and that was a great question. Thank you very much. And Naima said, "Thank you for the answer." Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, can I speak to the group?
yes, please do. Please
Listen, y'all got to ask questions.
do. Yeah.
I'm not, this is too big of a deal not to
Assalamu
ask
alaikum.
questions.
Hi, I do have some questions, but I'm
Yes.
here in Canada. I'm not actually in the US. My husband and I, we do live on a 3-acre, just wait, we live on a 3-acre property, so we're surrounded by farms. Some of the things that you did mention, we have already been through, like the digging of the well. So we had to go down 150 feet, and because they do spray here, we were concerned that perhaps the sprays were going into the water, but we had that tested and it was at 0.04. And if it's at 10, then that suggests that there's something really wrong with it's contaminated.
Yeah.
So for us, I mean, we have seen a 50-acre land and it is forestry. So some of the things that you did mention about, cutting down the trees and the soil then being affected with that. My husband, he's a carpenter. So we buy wood from the forest opposite us. And we do know that you have to, if you cut down the trees, you have to let them dry out for about 2 years. And then you have to see like what type of trees are they softwood or hardwood. We buy hardwood, so that when we burn it in the furnace, it will last longer. Softwood is probably not so good for you, and it will go out quickly. But some of the things that here we do have zonage laws. So if we did buy a piece of land, it would just be that we could build our house on it. So if you were to buy a large piece of land, by law, would you be allowed to subdivide it and then put 10 houses or on it, or how would that then work for you?
Yes, that's why finding land is easy.
Yeah.
Finding the municipality that fits with, like, you're going to have the least amount of struggle. Like in Grady County, Georgia, there are no zoning laws. There are things you can't do close to the road, 50 feet. You can't have an adult entertainment facility, a junkyard, dog kennel, stuff like that. But the point you're making is the biggest trip or obstacle I see with folks that are buying land is they're not checking in with zoning. So zoning, a lot of places in the South, they say you have to have 3 acres to build a home site. So you got to make sure you're buying enough land that each home site can have 3 acres on it.
Because
unless you get the rights to do a subdivision.
Because I mean, here in Quebec, we're in Quebec, and the law here is that, I mean, in some parts, if the first property we looked at had 7 acres and you could only have 3 chickens on that. But here we have 3.5 acres and we can have 100 chickens on here. Our neighbors, they have big farms of hay, massive. You could probably see about 100 acres here in front of us. And they probably only have about 100 cows, but they're using all that hay throughout the year to feed them, and in the winter as well. And then once they're done with the winter, they're planting alfalfa, or they're planting buckwheat to for the soil, not fertilizer.
Cover crops.
Yeah, they're doing that. So I don't know, what was I going to ask? The thing is, then we were. I mean, for us at the moment, because we're in Canada, we're in like we're in a real bad situation at the moment, especially here in Quebec. But if we moved over to Ontario, if you had 9 acres of land, you basically wouldn't have to even tell You wouldn't even have to tell them anything. You could do whatever you wanted. It would be classed as you've got 9 acres. You can do whatever you want.
That is the way Georgia was when I first got into this. And now with people putting up the tiny houses, they are putting moratoriums on tiny houses everywhere.
Yes, this is the thing. The 50-acre land that we've seen is actually, it does have electricity. It is woodland, but you could have it as a trailer park. So if in the future we did want to have tiny houses, which is, we don't want to have, we're in a bigger house here on our land, but we found that the bigger the house is, the more time we're spending inside as opposed to outside. So that's why we would want to have a smaller tiny house, because we're starting our vegetables this year, and hopefully to have just enough chickens and for ourselves. But the thing is,
they changed mobile homes name to manufactured home.
Yeah.
And I was going through a bunch of zoning this week for another client, and everybody's okay with manufactured home. I think it's boiling down to the city folks want the tiny house, but a manufactured home is actually a tiny house already pre-made.
Yeah.
It's all in what you say and how you communicate.
Right.
There's a big investor in the US, you know, and he's spreading a lot of GM crops. Mr. Gates.
Noah, thank you for joining the meeting. But we want to really concentrate on our project here. But definitely, you're welcome, and I thank you for joining the Telegram group. You're welcome. Anyone else? And when you're about to address the group and tell us how she chimed in, and that was a good thing. Anyone else can chime in with a question? Yahya, Stephen, anyone that's on one of the live streams, hop in.
Think of it this way. You're about to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And if you got all the answers, I want to invest with you. But ask these questions. So practice on me. Get used to it. Every time you go somewhere, you should be asking questions. Anytime brother comes back, you should be asking him questions. Because if it goes wrong, not like you're not gonna have obstacles, but if it goes, you stuck.
Right. That's
Ask away.
That's right. Yeah, because as you said, there are going to be challenges, and you can't figure you're stuck. You have to understand that there's a way to get around those and get past those challenges, but you're going to have to seek out information. You're going to have to look for professionals, people with with the answers to the problems or the whatever you're facing. So, and that's why we brought Wayne on today, because he has the experience. He has the willingness to share that information with us, and I think we need to take advantage of it. So, and that's why I said also we got 42% said I need more information before I decide if I'm in or out. So where's that 42%? I'm looking.
I see a hand.
Right. Hey, come on in, hop in, speak up, please. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Can you hear me?
salam. Yeah. I'm good.
Thank you, Wayne, for coming on your bank of information.
Thank you for having me.
My interest is related but a little different. I'm an architect, and I'm looking at how communities can be developed, and I'm coming to discover that farm economy it ain't what I thought it was, and
explain that. What do you mean?
Well, I just thought if you got some cows and slaughtered them, you make money, or you got some chicken. I mean, I'm just naive now.
Yeah, you're right. It ain't what you thought it was.
Yeah, I'm just a little city boy, So, so and different kinds of farming. I mean, you have this ecological farming and
I add a parenthetical because I want to make a point to the group on what you said. What the brother's talking about, when you're cutting up anything, we call that value add. So that's where your money is. Your money is in the value added. The money's not necessarily in the cow. The money is in the different cuts of steak, the sauces that you can make,
is in the bones for bone broth and is in the ground that you can sell to multiple different outlets. Same thing with everything else. So yes, there's money there, but the value added is where you make your money. Grow peanuts, make peanut butter. Don't sell your peanuts to somebody else to make peanut butter. That's where you make your money. And have people come direct to you on your farm.
Okay, so with that, I don't want to extend my question too much, but with that, Wayne, I get it that if you create your own abattoir or slaughterhouse, then you're really moving in that value-added arena.
Yes.
Or moving closer to that, closer to it, I guess.
You are. So there also, you have to determine what expenses you want to have. I have found that not having the expense of owning the slaughterhouse has helped me because it just cuts into my profit. Because I got to deal, the time is what happens. So if I can get to a spot where I can still be me without having to be tied down to the slaughterhouse, I can make it work. But owning it and operating it are adverse to my entire business model, not just to I'll pay that money out. But building it, I highly suggest, if you are building a community, to have your own, not just abattoir, but to have the charcuterie aspect of it and have someone trained in that, because every new community that's popping up now has a meat shop.
Yes.
All of them. Go drive around, everybody's having a meat shop, but there are only five in North America, that's Canada and America, vocational programs that train people to do that work. So this is what my advocacy work has been on for the last 8-9 months, is getting regional facilities set up where not only you can cut, but we are training and getting certificates for people that we trained to go out and start these different facilities in neighborhoods. So if y'all are buying 100 acres, I want you all to get your own facility, to be trained in it. And then part of your stream of income is you now offer that training to your community. So I'm pretty sure you guys have an idea of the demographics on the folks that are in your community. And if they're all over, there's one in New Mexico, they can send their people to you for training, and they'll pay that fee. You'll train them, but you get the use of that person while they're being trained. So you can pump out as much as possible, and it's muscle memory. So one of the things that I'm going to do is, there's only one cut sheet. So everyone is learning from the same cut sheet. You can't do any specialty cuts. So that's a great question, but that's where it's heading. And if you want to build a community around, just like the old school community. You know, you got to have we don't have milkman anymore, but somebody ought to be raising goats for milk or cows for milk if that's something that you want to do, and somebody should be able to slaughter them.
Well, as a planner, I can understand. I understand planning for people, and now we have the metrics of farming and how to scale up, down, or in preparation. Is that a work in progress, or are there examples of how you can do that? So that
there are examples, and I'd say again, the examples always go to the value added. So if you've got green beans, instead of going to the farmer's market trying to sell 1 pound bags of green beans for $3, we'll cut those green beans up and make frozen green beans, and we're going to sell them for $3 for a 1/4 pound. And that's where the money's in, the value added. So that's the scale up. And you can do that from a 1/4 acre and make money. Not necessarily doing a row crop. The people doing commodities are trying to get so much in that they can sell it for pennies on the dollar. You can't do that because you're not going into business to take a loss. You're going into business to make money. So we need the value added proposition. so that we can make money and we can offer jobs to the people in our communities. Because the person who grows the product probably isn't the person who's going to wash it, probably isn't the person who's going to cut it and can it. So there are jobs in this process.
Okay. I have some more questions, but I'll
No, man, shoot, please.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
I'm here
Okay. All right. This next question is about.
because I'm hard to get hold of. His brother tell you.
Oh, you're that hard to get hold? Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you then. In the mindset of nation building, how do you begin to scale communities so that they can be reasonably self-sufficient, maybe not completely, but reasonably self-sufficient, so that, with some, how can you scale them so that they can be reasonably self-sufficient or very, very efficient on themselves? And in my way of thinking, which is just my way of thinking, have communities that are scattered, that serve different things, in which, as a group, they can serve each other.
First is reasonable expectations. And then understanding that we may not be building these communities for us to benefit. It's probably going to be our children or the younger people who come along behind us. And
Absolutely.
then it's the training. We're not training on hopes and wishes. There are actual programs out here that we can train, learn, study to learn this information, to be proven at it. Too often we're kind of going off of a hopes and a wish philosophy. No, there's actual training there. There are actually schools, and I think that we can build those schools. Have everyone heard of 1890 land-grant universities?
No, I have not.
You have not?
No, I have not.
Okay. We have, if I'm not mistaken, 22 or 32 of them in America. They were the schools that were set up by the Freedmen's Bureau. And they are charged with teaching African Americans agriculture. And they have scholarships through the USDA for these 1890 land-grant schools. If your child, a young person, or anybody gets a scholarship, they don't pay so much as a paperclip for 4 years of school. And if they want, they come out of that with a job with the USDA. And too often, we've forgotten that we sometimes need to send a son or a daughter to the enemy, so to speak, to learn their ways.
Absolutely.
And then to bring those ways back to us. So I sent my son to an 1890 land grant and went in and did what my dad did for me. I negotiated his schooling. I got him, he had a job at the butcher. And the next year they were going to train him on how to butcher. And I was sending all my cows there. And unfortunately, my son just had too good of a time in school. He had a great time, so I had to bring him home. But the system still works. But just exactly what you're saying, that is how it works. It's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in the first decade. But once we get children out of this process that grow up, just like kids, you know that family who's everybody's adopted, the same process. They are immersed in the culture of being adopted. We have to immerse people in the culture of building nations. And it starts on the land. If that makes any sense.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. But what it charges me with is that I have a lot to learn.
We all do.
What is available? Because I didn't know anything about the 1890 land grants.
Absolutely.
And
What state are you in?
I'm in Georgia. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, come on, bro. Fort Valley State is our 1890. At Tuskegee's in 1890. Florida A&M. Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, there was a brother who had a farm near there, who he was relinquished on that farm, but he had a farm there and he was working with Fort Valley. I think they only did chickens or something like that. They did. That's when I found out about it makes a whole lot of difference about what meat you're going to be cutting. But he was working with Fort Valley, but I did not know that it was a 1890.
Yep.
Increment.
So listen to what I've learned, brother, is sometimes, now this is, y'all know this, sometimes the system will put people in place, right, to placate us. And they getting a nice check, but they're not really teaching or putting out the information that should go out that will help us grow and expand. And again, back to that doing politics. What I've been doing for the last month is working into politics to say, look, if you at our 1890 and you're not interested in helping us, I'm trying my best to get somebody on the Georgia Board of Regents to get you gone. Because here we got millions of dollars in process. They got a goat dairy. They got herds that they study there. They've got orchards that they study there. They got a meat processor there. None of us are getting any access to that. And every time I reach out to the folks that manage UGA, they're like, well, why don't you call Fort Valley? That's what they're there for. So all the stuff that you guys are looking to do should be a course for adult education at Fort Valley. No question.
How would I how would I follow up? Who would I contact at Fort Valley to learn more about this process?
There's none. There used to be years and years ago, in the 60s and 50s, they shut it down.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to build the curriculum so that we can get this training. And for the most part, those of us that are on this phone call probably are not going to go back to a 4-year college.
Right.
So it's going to have to be adult education.
Yeah.
We've got the money to buy the land, so they're going to have to educate us. And we're going to have to demand it. This is the part where I say, again, this is politics. It's a state school. Either we do politics or politics will do us. Well, as far as Fort Valley is concerned, the politics have been doing us for the last 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think one of the things that you brought up, Wayne, and that is, it triggered me to think back about an old movie back in like 69 or 70. It might have been. There's a movie called The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that. You know, you've seen it, so you know what that was. It was this same sort of thing where we got an incentive program, or what do they call it? They were going to train so many blacks to be in the CIA, I think it was,
Yep.
right? And none of them had, but one guy had the idea. He said, I'm going to get this and I'm going to take it back to the hood and I'm going to train us. And that was a novel idea, because many don't think like that. And we have to begin to think like that we're going to get it and take it back and benefit the community with that.
So with that being said, the shining light of 1890s is North Carolina A&T.
Oh, okay.
And I believe there's one in Virginia. And Fort Valley just happens, I'm not talking about it. They just happen to be about the bottom. But there's one in the Virgin Islands. Southern is great. Southern has a leadership program geared towards agriculture and farming. A friend of mine who works for Southern SARE funds it through his work. But it's now that people are coming on board. So everybody here needs to find out what state you're in and what 1890 is closest to you and let them know, hey, I'm here.
Right.
What classes do you have?
Yes.
And those of you who aren't gardeners, through your extension, need to sign up for the Master Gardener program. Study now. The study doesn't start when you get on the land. It's too late. Start the studying now through the Master Gardener program or to the Journeyman Farmer Certificate program so that you can start learning these things so that when you get on them in real time, it flows. Uh-oh, I think we went backwards. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So, but great question. And that is why we have to share information. And that is also why I tell us, you can't, so I'm not in your circle, right? You can't regurgitate information in the same circle. You got to step outside that circle.
Right.
There are those of us who may not be on the same religious track, but are basically the same people. You know, you heard they don't hate us because we're Christian or Muslim. That ain't
right.
That ain't why they hate us.
That's right.
But as we mature, I am proud to have different brothers and sisters that I've come to love throughout the diaspora. And I want to visit them in their cultural spaces. I don't want you to conform because I'm coming today. No.
Right.
We're going to eat how you eat. We're going to talk about the things that you talk about. And when you come see me, we're going to respect the things that you do. And I'm going to respect the things that I do. I'm not going to get you at my house and be like, yeah, I made sausage. No, we're not doing nothing crazy like that. We're going to respect everybody's wishes because we need every soldier and every mind that we can get.
Exactly. Excellent. So, you know, one of the things in that 1890 land grant thing, I mean, that's important, and we'll find out where they are closest. I'll put a list in there for the locations so people can look into what's available there and take your advice and start taking advantage in training now rather than later, right, when it's actually going to be late. Anyone else have any questions out there? Stephen, I see you unmuted. I think you're unmuted. Yep, you are. You can go ahead and ask a question if you have one.
I'm putting the 1890 land grant info in the chat.
Okay, good. I guess you know, as we come to a point where we're about to wrap it up, everyone. So, I have at least one more question I want to get, and I'll ask Wayne for any closing remarks that he might have, or suggestions, or just whatever warnings, whatever he can give us. And again, I want to say, Wayne, we appreciate you coming, appreciate you sharing and being, you know, the person that you are, because definitely you're not an average person. I'm going to say that. I don't want to break you back by saying that. I just want to say
Brother, it took me a while to get comfortable with hearing that. I used to tell people, no, I'm no different than anybody else.
Right.
And then I got comfortable. Yeah, I'm built for such as a time as this.
Yes. It takes certain people that play certain places and have attitudes and experiences that shape and mold them to be able to, as you do, is to get out there and, as you've been encouraging people to do, and help and share and build together, and don't be afraid of one another, you know, rather embrace who you are, recognize what skills you have to bring to the table, and be willing to share that, you know, and teach that, you know. So
and also understand, not your style's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
The information's not going to work for everybody, but you had to keep being who you are.
Right.
Don't be dismayed. And the thing we do, don't blame one interaction on all of the black world.
Right.
It just, you know, so everybody doesn't mix.
That's right.
And be comfortable with that. And learn to be like, you know what, brother, I think I'm going to find somebody that can help you, because I don't think I'm the person for it. And that comes with some maturity, some humbling.
Right.
And some lessons. So, and I've had all of that. So when I feel like I think I'm making some good, somebody probably is going to tap me on the shoulder a little bit and be like, yo, you over time, bro.
Right.
That's usually my wife.
Right.
But because I don't believe that is her. She's right there.
She's watching. I think I saw her look at her watch, you know?
So, I told y'all that, right? I said, I'm not making that up.
Right.
But I'm an open book, man. I want to pour in.
Right.
So that's what I do. I don't believe that me giving you anything is going to stop any blessing that was intended for me.
Right. Excellent.
I have learned to charge. But yeah, no, I'm 100. But blessings that are here for me are here for me.
Right.
There's literally nothing you can do to take it. It's all for me to stop.
That's correct.
Since I don't believe God is an ATM,
right,
I got to get out here to work.
Get out here and work. That's right. Got to put in the effort. Don't sit back and
wait
for it to fall into your lap.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
Now, again, back to where we started, I guess, and that is that we're in what I refer to as our phase one, which is bringing those committed families who want to be citizens, let's say, into this project together, identifying who they are, letting them speak up and say, I'm in. I have a spreadsheet set up where we shared the link so that those who are in our Telegram group can click on it and go in and fill their information in. There's a little bit of information in there that they fill out so we know who's who, and we begin to meet with those groups, with that group of committed families, citizens meeting, so that we can begin to plan going forward and so that they can be in on the process as we look for land. And what I didn't mention is that I said that I can't be the only one looking, and we have a couple other people looking, and we have a form letter that we're going to present to these real estate agents, right? So they know what we're looking for, and these are the boxes that have to be ticked. You find this land, let us know, right?
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm going to put $500 out there for the if you find a piece of property, you say here, and that's the property you buy.
Yeah, incentivize
it. Here's $500 for your effort, right? It's not gonna, even though like I said, even if Wayne sends us their property, or if Stephen or anyone, whoever is part of the project sends it in, they're going to get a $500 incentivization. That's to help, because we want to find that property, and we need to have as many feelers out there as possible to make that happen. So after the property is found and we go through that process that you described earlier, there's some things we're going to do pre-contract, and then there are those things that lead up to actually when we acquire the property. Once we acquire the property, starts phase 2. That's when the actual surveying is taking place. And stop me if you think that I need to be stopped at any point. You say, okay, no, because before you check.
No, so I'm back on you have all the dollars in your community. Get that investor paperwork set up.
Okay.
Get that investor paper, because once that's done, that's it.
Right.
Then you can effectively say, hey, look, if you invest, and you guys, with your team, your executive team or whoever, you figure out when you want that investment to mature, and then what you're going to offer.
Right.
And you put that out there and you live by your word, people will invest in your project.
Right.
I mean, everything right now, like somebody was explaining, a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, was explaining to me, because I had no idea how NFTs work.
Right.
And he's like, man, just go out there and take a picture of a baby cow with you feeding it a bottle. And then we'll put a link inside of it to what the people get if they invest. And I was like, that's what that is? Because I didn't know. He was like, yeah, it's crowdsourcing, but it's the way the younger generation is doing it. Now everything's online. So I was like, oh, he said, but you got to have your paperwork together.
Now, see, that's an NFT that I was saying, but they also got people that'll have some drawing, and they'll say, here's the NFT. Okay, but what you're talking about is an actual asset. It's something that's going to produce, right? That's an NFT. That one I'm all in favor of. But that thing where somebody just splash some paint on a thing and they say, okay, or have a picture, image, or...
I think, based on my conversation, that's the bastardized version.
Right.
That's the version where they're looking for everybody who hadn't researched and want to jump on something hot. What anybody that I'm working with, you're going to hear a constant theme: study, read, learn.
Yes.
And I think that I actually have a real estate investment group, and we're at a pause because we're waiting on everybody. Everybody that's in it has to have an LLC entity.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So there's a holding group, and then all the parties are LLCs.
Right. Right.
And then we'll go in and we'll buy some land, and we're looking to buy a significant amount of land and kind of start a Black agricultural resort type of thing, where you can stay on the property, you can go shoot on the property, you can hunt on the property, you can fish on it, you can do family reunions, everything.
Right.
Just in safe space. Not saying that we won't let anybody in, because one thing to be careful with is restrictive covenants.
Right.
I don't want you all to do anything that is restrictive covenants, and what I think is the Fourth Amendment would set you afoul of the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So, but I always say that we're not separatists. We just want a space where we can be comfortable
Exactly.
in our own skin.
And that's it. And and I think that's a natural desire for everyone, you know, and that's why we have houses, right? You know?
Yeah,
So you
right.
have a place that you can feel comfortable, you know.
Yes, sir.
It's not that you want to isolate yourself. But to move on just a little bit before, you know, I
Yes.
ask you to, you know, close out with anything. So at that point, once we acquired it, and then we start planning how we move forward. That idea that you were saying was building a house that's going to be like an Airbnb, a place. You know, I
Yeah.
had that idea because we're going to bring up Sharif and build a carve house for that purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe a two room or 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom. It's probably a small 2 bedroom carve house.
Right.
Nice structure. It's there. It's Airbnb. It's a place for people who are citizens to come and visit their land.
Absolutely.
And no, here's my plot. You know, and schedule what they need to get done.
And
so
there's probably even a farm manager who you can give an endowment to for X number of years. But look, we got your housing for X number of years. You're going to manage and run and set this farm up for us. You don't have to worry about housing. We got that.
right.
And I don't think those of us who are always in a house don't understand. And it wasn't until I got to this space that I realized how many people don't really have homes
Right.
that are in this space, experts,
Right.
but people don't value the guy that can run a vegetable farm the way they value somebody that can sing a song.
Right.
So
Exactly.
these guys are encyclopedias running around from place to place. But so one of the things I told my group, I said, man, we're going to have houses. We're going to do 3-year endowments
I hear you.
for farm managers. So we're going to teach them how to build their own businesses, how to run their business, and they're going to run our business with our help. And then by the 3rd year, they should be able to run it by themselves and then go off and do their own thing, whether we invest in with them, but they've gotten everything that they need to be successful on their own. And that way we can get a lot more people in this space. But one of the things that got me out of corporate America was not having to worry about a damn mortgage.
Right.
Once you get to the point that, like, I can feed myself.
Right.
So at that point, once I got to the point that I could feed myself, I was like, well, look, I really don't have to take this because you can't stop me from eating. And I done figured out I can crush cans on Thursdays.
Right.
I can greet people at Walmart on Wednesday and Friday. I can pay this note
Right.
until this business comes off.
Right.
But I'm free.
Right.
And that was key. So I said, man, as soon as I get to a spot where I could help, I'm going to offer that so people don't have to worry about that mortgage and they can put their best in. And then once they get to a point where they can do it, then yeah, go off, man.
Right.
The point is not for me to, this is what America has done. We just want to hold on to people's resources.
Yes.
I don't understand
Yes.
that. I don't want to hold your resources.
Right.
I just have a fair exchange. I want to, while you mature or when you're getting something, let's do a fair exchange. But then when you're ready to go, go.
Precisely.
Yeah. Cross-pollinate. Let's do it.
Right. I would give one last call for questions out there before Wayne wraps it up. Anyone? Ishaq, Assalamu alaikum. I see you joined us.
Wa alaikum salam.
How-
Yeah, thank you for putting this together, Yassine. Thank you also, Mr. Swanson. Wayne,
Yeah, no problem.
you were mentioning something about, and then it went into a slightly different conversation. You were mentioning when Yassine was talking about phases, and then you jumped in and you said something about setting up, and I didn't quite catch it. And I don't know if you completed the thought or not, but that was
Okay.
that was.
Were we talking about the investment piece of it?
Yes, I think
Setting,
that's-
yeah, the paperwork, however you want. Most people start as a C Corp, but I want you to have a CPA. That's really what I want to say. I want you to have a CPA. I want you to consult with a CPA to make sure that you're set up properly so that you can take on investors. And what that's going to do, and y'all know this, when you add capital, a lot of stuff gets easier. when you have the money to do projects right. So what this paperwork will do is allow people, you might get 100 people that want to invest $10,000. But if you don't have a mechanism and a way to offer operational reviews, because that's what I did. Once I took on investors, I took what I did in corporate and said, all right, look, monthly, I'm so afraid to mess up y'all money. Monthly, I'm doing an operational review and I'm sending that out to everybody. Here's what we did this month. Here's where we're going this month. Here's where your dollars are. I took a loss here, but I think we're going to do well here. I see this working out. And it's simple. It was like 10, 12 lines.
Right.
But I had the paperwork done on the front end. So if I took a loss, their investment took a loss, and they could take that off on their taxes or whatever they want to do. But you got to talk to a CPA. I want y'all to get that. But also, that then will allow you to decide what to do first. Is the organization going to buy the land and then buy a tractor? Or is the organization going to buy a land and then hire a farm manager who's coming with all his tools and everything that he has? So those are the things that we can learn from that sit down.
Yes.
But getting to that 250, like y'all got 250 to buy, and then you got 250 to work with. Don't buy a $500,000 piece of land.
Right. Right.
If you got 500, buy a $250,000 piece of
I
land.
got you.
Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, thank
Very
you, thank
valuable information.
Thank you
Very
for
valuable.
asking
man.
that question.
Thank you
It's
for
out, 'cause
having-
it did bring some clarity and excellent points you made there.
Yes, sir.
Wayne, I appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you if there are no more questions in the group, and I don't see any happening on the in the chat here or online here. So I'm going to just say,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Wayne, I know you're busy. Is there any way you can be reached, or you can refer me to somebody that knows almost as much as you?
So yes. So here's what we have to do, because I came to you through Yasin.
Mm-hmm.
You only get access. I hate to be that way, but you only get access to me through the brother. I don't believe in bruising relationships or doing things. If he blesses that, absolutely. But until that brother who brought me to this forum says so, that's just how I handle things. I don't want to. That's just me.
I can respect that.
But I share. You ask him the question, he asks me, and you'll have anything I can provide. I'll provide it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And I hope that
Yeah.
with respect.
Yeah, appreciate that, Wayne. So, any, if there are no last questions, I'm going to ask Wayne to wrap it up, and I'm going to thank him for this time. It's been great. I think this has definitely been a lot of benefit. You've given us a lot to chew on, and I think moving forward, I hope it answered some of the questions. At 42% who said I need more information, I hope this at least begins to give them more comfort and understand what we're trying to do in terms of establishing a solid road going forward to avoid mistakes, rookie mistakes, and also to benefit from knowledge of people like yourself and other. We call that's our brain trust. We need to have go-to people, and also within the group, who have knowledge and who have skills, as we were speaking about earlier. So again, go ahead and if you have some closing remarks, please.
Yeah. In closing, I would say the farming is the easy part. The farming is the easy part. Building the buildings, that's the easy part. Doing the legwork, the due diligence, and making sure that all your paperwork is in order are the steps that we skip a lot of times, whether because we're passionate or whether because we don't believe that it applies to us. But again, I'm telling you, you don't do politics, and politics will do you. You all know somebody who's fussing and complaining that they wouldn't let them do X, Y, or Z on their property, or do X, Y, and Z to their house. There's a reason that there are covenants. There's a reason that there are zoning laws, and that there are that there's a zoning guy that drives around looking at stuff. There's a reason for that. So this is the time to do it. Now, keep in mind, we're sharing information that is whole lot high level
because you guys hadn't really dug in and read up on a lot of stuff we put out there. If we had this conversation 30 days from now, we'll be talking specifics. Because I hope that this conversation sparked you all to get on Google and to start looking and to reaching out to extension agents asking questions, existing farmers asking questions. We didn't even start talking about soil composition and what type of soil you need to look for to buy, so that you're not wasting a bunch of time amending the soil. And the soil is the basis for everything. If you're going to build a building, what are you building the building on? Soil. If you're going to improve irrigation, you're going to deal with soil. If you want to improve cattle, you got to grow forage for soil. If you want to grow vegetables, it's soil. The soil is the blood of this whole operation. And if we're not talking about it, we're doing ourselves a disservice, and it's going to come back to get you later. The paperwork. Get everything right, because when I say millions of dollars, there's a sister in Selma, Alabama, who had a $1.2 million loan through the USDA. And if I'm not mistaken, they forgave that plus 20%, because the bill that's out there right now is forgiving what we call socially disadvantaged farmers. And it's 120%, 20% for the fees. And that sister got $1.2 million wiped out, and they gave her $200,000. I think it was close to $200,000 for those fees. Now she had paid the fees, so it wasn't like free money, but but a lot of people don't know it's out there. And a lot of people was like, yo, I'm not paying that. But look, man, if you buy gas, if you buy a tasty cake, you paying taxes. Whether you agree with the government or the system or not, you still are paying taxes on things. That money is yours. And they're giving it away to people. And up until recently, they had a system in place that did not allow you or me to get this money. And now we can get this money. And I encourage everybody, save your pennies, use their pennies. And other than that, man, I just y'all stay together, keep checking in, find out what the goals are, and stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. And it'll work out beautifully, and y'all will be somebody said, Ishak said, that's that 40 acres and a mule, right? Yeah, man, that's it.
That's right.
Imagine if we had gotten those 40 acres and that mule. I could have took my mule, bred it to your mule. We'd have had 2 mules, then 3 mules. Then we could have all got together and broke up this land. Man, yeah, that's what we missed.
That's right. That's right.
Except for, like, I'm going to go back to this. I have come to believe that the brothers and sisters that stayed in the South are some of the sharpest, toughest, most strategic, because they lived in a war zone. And don't believe that nonsense when you thought they was pushovers.
Right.
Them white folks only went to the little single places where they knew they can get at you. But for the most part, you wasn't coming in certain neighborhoods talking that nonsense, because a lot of us shot back. My grandparents that moved to New Jersey, one of them had to move because he had shot a white man and tried to take his sister down in Albany, Georgia. And they had to put him in a funeral procession to get him out of town. But it was like, yeah, he's gone. But y'all don't come around here no more. We handled that situation.
Right.
And so I love it. That's why I'm keen on this Mississippi and Arkansas thing.
Right.
Because I think that's where the Renaissance is going to continue. Right now, we are in basically our version of the Harlem Renaissance in the South. And grab as much land as y'all possibly can, man. And then get these kids in these 1890 programs so that people that look and are culturally relevant to you will get these positions to hand out this money. And I tell people this in closing: there's nothing that black people have done in America that hadn't benefited the entire country. Nothing. Anything that we do does not just benefit us. That's just not the type of people that we are. It automatically benefits everybody. Our Latin brothers are going to get on it. The Asian brothers are going to get on it.
Right.
Brothers from Europe everybody follows us. We lead the world. And we need to understand that and be comfortable with that and do things in good order for the folks that's following us. And y'all are on the right track. Do things in good order, man. I can't wait to be able to say, hey, I knew them when.
Right. Well, definitely, Wayne, we appreciate it, and we will be having you back. I'm already planning as we get to the next steps, we move forward, if we make some progress and we take advantage of what you've given us already today and what we're gathering from our other brain trust out there. We're going to move forward. This is, with the Lord's help, we're going to make this come off and benefit and be, as I refer to it, as a demonstration project, something that we can show this is one way, this is an example that it can be done, but we have to come together to do it. You know, and just like everybody's heard of Black Wall Streets, there were a number of those throughout the nation.
Every city.
Exactly. And it was, what was it? It was people, in this case, African Americans, who had a desire to be together, to do business together. Some of it because that's a natural inclination, people come together. Some of it because you couldn't do it anywhere else, so you had to do it together, right? So there were a number of factors that aided us in being able to do it then. The problem today, and you referred to it earlier, and that is that many of us, we've kind of moved away from that natural inclination to be together and to trust one another, to work together, to lock arms. That's what we have to get back to. And this is what I consider this, Wayne, us locking arms and realizing, like you said, we may represent different communities, but you have the broadness, and so do we, that recognize we can't just be in that vacuum. We have to reach outside of that vacuum, outside of that circle, that, you know, and bring other opportunities and other people, other knowledge and skills, and then share with everyone, not based on anything except that we want to see everyone do well. Everyone should want for the rest of the community, like you said, who's going to follow? Other peoples will follow what we're doing. We're leading this way. And what we want to do, yes, we don't say y'all can't do this. You know?
Well, I'm sharing an example. One of the reasons that, like, I get calls for articles all the time, and I tell people, you can't put me front and center in this article.
Right.
I said, there are stories that have to be told from the people who've invested their life savings, took money out their 401k. I'm the consultant.
Right.
And if it becomes about me, and this is kind of just sharing this with y'all, I'm kind of like that. I've given myself that guy, even if I'm the emperor, I'm going to have somebody on my shoulder telling me, you know, you're just a man.
Right.
Because I don't want to be the story.
Right.
I want the progress to be the story.
Exactly.
And I understand the role that I'm playing, and I'm comfortable with that, but I want to make sure that I maintain my status as Wayne Trudy's oldest boy who's just working in his gifts and talent.
Right. All right, Wayne. Thank you very much again for coming.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to having you on the next one.
Man, thank you. I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, thank you.